By now, you've probably heard the buzz. Bitcoin smashed another all-time high yesterday, and guess what? It hit yet another one today. Just 15 minutes ago, it crossed $12,000, 0 cents before cooling off slightly. This thing has momentum like a wild animal ready to bolt. Some say a short-term pullback is possible, but the consensus among top analysts is clear. Bitcoin's gearing up for its next parabolic surge. The bull market, it's alive and thriving now over 2.5 years strong, despite a few bumps along the way. But you know what's even more thrilling? XRP might finally be waking up. The excitement among chart analysts is impossible to ignore. They're convinced something big is on the horizon. So while Bitcoin grabs headlines, keep your eyes on XRP. It could be the real game changer soon. Some believe it could happen today, tomorrow, or maybe within the week. Others think it might take a little longer. But right now, we're in that moment, a moment where you should be ready for it. Any day now, you could wake up, check the price, and see XRP taking off. You might do a double or even triple take. I've had those moments before, and let me tell you, they're exciting. This is the time to expect XRP to wake up. And for so many reasons, today we'll dive into the metrics, including some eye-catching insights from chart analysts. There's been a major bullish crossover on XRP's relative strength index, signaling something big. I'll break it all down for you later in the video, but if we look at historical patterns, this is exactly the kind of movement to anticipate. Here's what to expect when Bitcoin's on the move in a bull market. With liquidity on our side and global M2 increasing, it's the perfect storm. This is the time to anticipate the probable. And it seems XRP is gearing up for another breakout. We saw it stir back to life last November, carrying into January. But the next big surge, it's on the horizon. XRP has been quietly consolidating for months, but it won't stay quiet for long, not in a market like this. The flood of capital coming in is inevitable. As risk appetites grow, investors push further along the risk curve, opening up massive opportunities. This is where fortunes are made. It'll be brief, but it's going to be one wild, unforgettable ride. Before we dive in, let me make something crystal clear. I don't have a financial background, none whatsoever. This isn't financial advice, and you absolutely shouldn't make any investment decisions based on what I say here. I'm just a crypto enthusiast who loves talking about blockchain and making YouTube videos for fun. All right, with that out of the way, let's get to it. As I'm recording this, it's 1:58 p.m. Central Time on Thursday, May 22, 2025. XRP is sitting at $2.43, up from a 24-hour low of $2.36. Pretty standard volatility in this range, but trust me, it's not going to stay here for long. I've got so much to share about XRP in this video, so stick around. Now, let's talk Bitcoin. Is currently at $111,885, 0 cents, flirting with its all-time high. In the past 24 hours, it briefly hit 112,000, 0 cents, just over that actually at 1:40 p.m. So yeah, it's been about 19 minutes since we hit that milestone, and there's a lot happening. And I've got plenty to say, so let's get started. Listen up, everyone. Remember when fear was running wild? If you've been following my channel, you know what I'm talking about. Just a few months ago, I was making videos about Bitcoin's price, even when it dropped from that $75,000 0 cents high. Did I panic? Nope. I kept saying, this isn't the end of the party. Go back and watch. Seriously, it didn't make sense to think otherwise. These dips, they're part of the game. When markets get gripped by fear, it creates huge opportunities for those ready to act. People sell because they're scared. That's exactly why prices took a dive in both the stock market and crypto. But look where we are now. Fear sells, but for the savvy, it also buys opportunity. Bitcoin has surged, what, $37,000, 0 cents off the lows? That's wild. This kind of bounce isn't exactly typical of bear markets, is it? Over the past few months, the swings have been huge. A post caught my eye recently from Frecky Crypto, a true OG in the space. He's been around since 2011. If you've followed my channel, you've heard me talk about him before. The guy is a treasure trove of insight. He's worked in finance for decades and knows exactly where this is headed. Oh, and he's been holding XRP longer than most people I know. His take? It's going to be downright comical how wealthy we'll get from this crypto cycle. Meanwhile, billions of people are completely clueless that any of this is happening, just walking through life, totally unaware. It's mind-blowing to think about, isn't it? And if I'm honest, I've sat with that thought plenty of times over the years. Discovering crypto, and especially XRP back in 2017, was a game changer for me. It's been nothing short of life-altering. So sure, I still need to cash out and take profits eventually, but when I look at my net worth now compared to then, the difference is staggering. I'd never be where I am today without it. I'm sure many of you listening can relate. You've been around for ahead of the curve, and that's no small feat. So seriously, kudos to you. The reality is most people out there have no idea what XRP is. They've never even heard of it. Yesterday, I shared a post from Raoul Pal, the founder and CEO of Global Macro Investor and Real Vision, and a former Goldman Sachs exec. For context, he does hold some XRP, and his latest insights are making waves. In his newest chart, shared just yesterday, he highlights how Bitcoin has been mirroring global M2. Why does this matter? Because it's a game changer. Raoul isn't the only one recognizing how critical this pattern is. This chart, with its precise 12-week lead time, offers a massive clue about where crypto is heading next. Here's the deal. When liquidity increases, whether through individuals or businesses having more funds, it takes time to allocate. But once that happens, risk on assets like Bitcoin tend to follow the flow. According to Raoul, the correlation is around 90%. That's huge. So if you're keeping an eye on what's next for Bitcoin, this liquidity chart is one to watch closely. Tom Lee, a big name in both crypto and traditional finance with 381,000 followers, is someone you've probably seen if you follow the markets. He's the CIO of Fundstrat Capital and a regular face on national TV. What's the title? Oh, right. He's a CNBC contributor. That expert they bring on regularly to break down the big stuff. And what's he talking about now? Something huge, something I don't think enough people are paying attention to, which is why I keep bringing it up. Bitcoin, the idea that Bitcoin directionally is almost guaranteed to follow a certain trend. If it does, we're looking at Bitcoin potentially hitting the 150,000 mark. Some think it could go even higher. Who knows? We'll find out soon enough. But seriously, keep your eyes on this. If you're anything like me, your focus is probably on altcoins, especially XRP. And you might be wondering, why is Bitcoin taking off while altcoins seem stuck? Well, here's the thing. XRP has already done some major legwork this cycle, and the best part, it's not over yet. The most exciting chapter is still ahead. Honestly, I'm amazed that XRP is holding strong above $2. That's huge. Let's dive into some insights from chart analyst Dom at TraderView 2. Why aren't altcoins moving yet? History has an interesting answer. A few weeks ago, I shared an analysis showing it was Bitcoin's moment to shine, and that this was exactly what we needed for a broader market breakout. Now, with Bitcoin smashing its all-time high, we can look back for clues. During the last all-time high rally, it took about 9 days after Bitcoin's breakout for altcoins to catch fire. In that window, Bitcoin surged over 20%, while most altcoins were still gearing up for their run. We're seeing the same pattern play out again. When Bitcoin enters price discovery, it pulls in all the liquidity, soaking up the spotlight, but eventually that liquidity trickles down. Folks, this is exactly what I've been saying all along. Historically, the evidence is crystal clear. When Bitcoin enters price discovery, excitement skyrockets, retail investors flood back in, and the cycle begins. Profits from Bitcoin flow into large caps, then into mid caps, and finally cascade into small and micro caps. That's the path ahead, and that's where the real wealth building opportunities lie. This is where the magic happens and why the whole process is so thrilling. But what's happening right now is no different. It's the classic setup. Shortly after Bitcoin makes its move, altcoins wake up and start to shine. And when it comes to XRP, this pattern is even more pronounced. For my XRP crew, listen up. XRP loves its moment in the spotlight. It doesn't leap while Bitcoin is stealing the show by hitting new highs. Instead, it bides its time. Bitcoin takes a breather, and then XRP surges. Seriously, find me one time Bitcoin entered price discovery and XRP didn't follow with a big move soon after. I can't think of a time when Bitcoin made a big move like the kind we're seeing now without XRP eventually following suit. There's just one important caveat here, and it's a fair one. The assumption is that Bitcoin continues its upward momentum in the coming weeks or months rather than stalling out or dropping back below key levels. And honestly, that makes sense. XRP tends to follow Bitcoin's lead. But if Bitcoin stumbles in the short term, you'd hit the pause button on XRP's rally. Still, history shows a clear pattern. Once Bitcoin gets back on track, XRP catches up. It's the rhythm of every market cycle. Bitcoin leads, XRP follows every single time. Here's a post from chart analyst Mustache. Altcoins, alt season, 2025. The real party hasn't even started yet. Remember 2017? 2021, it's happening again. For those who lived through either or both of those wild alt seasons, you know exactly what I mean. Absolute madness, total chaos. And I was lucky enough to witness both I jumped into crypto back in November 2017, right before the craziest alt season in history. It was a surreal time. You couldn't buy anything without it skyrocketing in value almost instantly. For a newcomer, it was like stepping into the eye of a storm. And guess what? That same energy is brewing again. Mustache is convinced we're on the brink. His focus, the Bitcoin dominance percentage chart. All signs point to history repeating itself. Oh, he's convinced it's about to break down, backed by a chart formation he's watching closely, an ascending broadening wedge. He's not alone. Tons of analysts are on the same page. The pattern is clear. Bitcoin will hit a peak, then dip. Sure. The price of Bitcoin might still climb, but its dominance, that's another story. And where is that dominance headed? Straight to altcoins. No doubt about it. This is what happens when massive amounts of money flood into crypto. Chart analyst Credible Crypto agrees, saying the months ahead will turn every so-called lagging alt into a golden opportunity, not a reason to complain. That's exactly in line with what chart analyst Dom has been saying. Altcoins lagging behind, it's no problem. In fact, you could argue XRP fits that category given all that's unfolded in recent months. It's a shift worth watching closely. XRP has been holding steady, even though it's outshining every other coin in the top 100 since the election. Sure, in the immediate short term, it's trailing behind Bitcoin in price action, but let's not forget, XRP has already crushed Bitcoin in performance during this cycle. Right now, it may seem like it's lagging, but honestly, most coins are. The twist? This is exactly when you should expect XRP to flip the script sooner rather than later. Even Credible Crypto backs this up. In one of his latest posts, he highlights that the monthly RSI, Relative Strength Index, is pushing into overbought territory again, signaling some serious action ahead. Things are about to get silly, he says. The final fifth wave is in motion, setting the stage for a parabolic surge. We're nearing a blow-off top that could rival the insanity of 2017. This might just be the most explosive expansion Bitcoin has ever seen, a climactic finale to a 16-year macro cycle and the peak of its first secular bull run. This is the moment we've been gearing up for since 2017, fam. Stay cool and don't go all in on leverage. Trust me, where we're headed, you won't need it. Let's make some serious money. This is where it gets exciting. Here's the deal. We've got to keep an eye on the right metrics so we don't trip ourselves up. One key signal to watch as Bitcoin approaches its next peak is the relative strength index. It's not just about dipping into overbought territory. It's about getting close to the historical highs we saw in the last two cycles. That's the sweet spot. We keep tracking this for you right here because this isn't the time to bury your head in the sand. The goal, don't hold on too long past the high. If you're paying attention, you'll recognize when the market's heating up. History gives us clues, and this is one of those top indicators you don't want to ignore. Sure, overbought conditions can last a while, but timing is everything. Bitcoin is finally creeping back into overbought territory. If you check out the RSI metric, great news. And here's the thing, this trend can last for a while. Historically, we're still far from the levels where it usually peaks, but don't get too comfortable. Just because it reached sky-high peaks in the last cycle doesn't mean it's guaranteed to do the same this time. Caution is key. You'll need to figure out when it makes sense for you to start exiting your positions. We're talking Bitcoin here, but let's be real. It's looking pretty likely that this could climb much higher and get far more overbought before hitting the ultimate peak of this cycle. And let's not forget XRP, the same principle applies. We'll be keeping a close eye on its RSI too. Oh, and trust me, I've got something really interesting to share about XRP's RSI, so stick around. Chart analyst Bob Ye just dropped an exciting post declaring the king of this cycle is about to wake up. Naturally, someone asked him, who's the king? His answer, XRP. Of course, I could have guessed it before he replied. I've been following his posts for a while now, but Bob isn't the only one sounding the alarm. Another skilled analyst nailed it when he predicted XRP's breakout. He's doubling down, saying it's waking up and ready to run wild again. Things are about to get crazy. And Waychart analyst Steph is Crypto also called XRP's 2024 breakout spot on. Just this morning, he said the final XRP wave starts now. Whether it's today, tomorrow, or a few weeks away, we're in that window. A decade from now, you'll zoom out on a chart and think, yep, that's where it was. Whether it's a day, a week, or a month, it doesn't really matter. I'm not here to predict the future. That's not my thing. But one thing's clear, when you look back, this moment will stand out. You'll see it and say, yep, that was the time, no doubt about it. Check out this post from Crypto Insight UK. It's a good one. He shared some interesting snapshots from his newsletter, noting that Bitcoin's liquidity is showing patterns strikingly similar to what we saw before its last big move. Quick note, he wrote this on May 3rd. Here's the gist. Bitcoin has been stuck in a range for a while with two areas of dense liquidity building above. Historically, most of Bitcoin's price jumps happened in just a 28-day window. During that time, it gained a massive 46%, breaking out of its range and plowing through those liquidity zones. Pretty exciting stuff, right? But wait, what about XRP? Don't worry, he covered that too. Check it out in the next slide. Back on May 3rd, he pointed out something fascinating. That period saw the biggest surge in XRP's price, an incredible 470% gain. If XRP were to repeat that kind of growth, we're talking about a price of $12.60. That's right, folks. Double digits, totally achievable. Now, am I saying it's definitely going to happen? No, this isn't a prediction, but is it crazy to think it could? Absolutely not. In fact, for those eyeing $20.00 or even $30.00 XRP, he's mentioned before that he thinks those levels are even more likely, and again, not crazy. Time will tell. Of course, some argue the market cap is bigger now, so percentage gains might not track. Fair point, but here's the kicker. Let's compare Bitcoin dominance during XRP's last big surge to XRP dominance itself. There's some truth there. Sure, the exact same percentage gains might not repeat as cycles evolve, but who's to say XRP doesn't have another massive run in it? Keep watching. XRP's story is one for the books. Remember when it shot up from half a penny to $3.35? That jaw-dropping 80,000% gain was insane. But let's be real, those kinds of astronomical jumps aren't happening again for XRP. And honestly, that's fine. You don't need a leap that massive to see big wins. Now, could we see significant movements again? Absolutely. It's not out of the question, especially when you look at how unpredictable crypto can be. Crypto Insight UK isn't wrong to stay open to that possibility. I'm right there with them. It's a fair perspective. Big moves have happened in the past, but naturally, as cycles go on, they tend to lessen in intensity. That doesn't mean huge gains can't happen. They're just less likely to hit the same extremes. Still, if Bitcoin goes wild again, who's to say XRP couldn't follow suit? Anything's possible in this space. So yeah, that's definitely something to watch. On May 30th, he shared these screenshots saying, XRP holders, take note. I'm not claiming it'll follow the same pattern exactly, but you should keep an eye on this closely. Intriguing, right? And then there's this gem from Crypto Insight UK. Check it out. Here's the XRP/USD chart. Pay attention to the RSI at the bottom. Notice this. They pointed out an XRP weekly RSI bullish cross. What does that mean? Well, the purple line, XRP's relative strength index, just crossed over the moving average yellow line, signaling a shift in momentum. The last time we saw this near oversold levels, well, take a look at what happened next. Look at that jump. Right after the election, it just took off like a rocket. Crazy, right? What he's pointing out here is fascinating. The last time this happened, we were in oversold territory. Now we're slowly climbing out of it. And guess what? It's been about 6 months since then, which lines up almost perfectly with the timing of XRP's two big bursts in the last cycle and the one before that. Pretty wild, don't you think? It's like history has this way of repeating itself, or at least rhyming, and he's not the only one picking up on this pattern. Here's an exciting update from chart analyst Dark Defender. On November 4th, XRP flashed a golden cross signal on the weekly RSI, a rare and powerful indicator. Back in October, we warned this could happen, and now, after 200 days, it's here again. XRP is eyeing $3.33 in the short term, with momentum building to challenge the $5.85 resistance level. Dark Defender's targets are bold and clear, but here's the kicker. While not mentioned in this video, he predicts XRP could eventually soar to around $18.00. For now, he's mapping out the next steps, and the signs are aligning. Pay close attention to the RSI at the bottom. He spotted it too, and for good reason. This is a huge moment for XRP. A bullish cross, my friends, and it's happening at the perfect time. Talk about timing aligning like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. It's exciting, it's powerful, and it's exactly what we've been waiting for. Honestly, I've never been this thrilled to be an XRP holder. While I can't predict the future with certainty, I feel like I have a pretty solid sense of what's brewing. The signs are all there. A final parabolic Bitcoin surge, Bitcoin dominance taking a nosedive, alt season kicking into full gear, and XRP entering price discovery mode for the first time in over 7 years. It's not just a moment, it's a movement. Get ready, because this ride is about to melt some faces. You know those broad predictions everyone throws around? For me, it's more than just a hunch. It's a gut deep conviction. I truly believe it's going to happen. And honestly, why wouldn't it? It just doesn't make sense otherwise. Convince me I'm wrong. Go ahead. I'll listen, but you better bring something fresh and incredibly persuasive because I've heard it all before. The bears, they've been laughably off the mark, always chasing momentum instead of real insights. Lately, with the markets dipping a bit, the bears are out in full force again, but the analysts I trust didn't predict this downturn. And let's not forget, at the start of 2023, when Bitcoin was hovering around $16,000, 0 cents, those same bears were confidently declaring it would keep sinking. Spoiler alert, they were dead wrong. So the analysts I follow, yeah, they called it. Turns out the market bottomed roughly where they said it would, and they nailed it. It's just a show. You've got to be careful about who you trust for insights, right? Nobody's perfect, of course. Expecting perfection would be ridiculous. But the reason I follow these particular analysts is simple. They're right more often than not. Here's what I really pay attention to when these experts overlap in their predictions. When multiple voices I trust start saying the same thing, that's when my ears perk up. Because honestly, when they align, things tend to play out exactly as they say. Right now, they're all in agreement and the message is clear. Fireworks are on the horizon. And you know what? I believe it 100%. No doubt in my mind. The big question is when, but make no mistake, it's coming. Life-changing wealth is right around the corner. This time, I genuinely believe it. It's happening. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor, so don't make decisions based on what I say, okay? That would be a very, very bad idea.